As I was thinking about what to say tonight, I actually had a really cool speech that I was going to give, and as I was walking home the other night and ultimately driving up here, I decided to change it all. I, like many of you, have come to Tech Show. At least when I was practicing law, I would tell my partner, I would tell my spouse, I would tell my friends, I'm coming here to learn all about the cool tools, right? It's a reason to come to learn about technology and stuff that I'm ultimately going to use, right? Computers and World Docs and all of that. But I think that I suffer from the exact same thing that many of you here have called shiny syndrome. Anybody? Raise your hand. Who has an iPad in this room? Keep the hands raised. It's a shiny syndrome. We all have it. And ultimately what I found is I would come to Tech Show, and while I wanted to learn about the tools, I was just as excited about the toys. When I was looking through my toy closet, I found an HP CapShare that a handful of you have. It was the coolest tool ever. I think I used it like 7 times, but God, it was cool those 7 times I used it. It was a toy I bought here at Tech Show. And so many of us like the toys and the tools that we learn about here at Tech Show, but what really hit me as I was thinking about what to talk about were the connections I made. I've been at Tech Show roughly 16 times, and I say roughly because I haven't been able to figure out exactly how many times I came versus how many times I've wanted to come. This is the most amazing show that I've ever had the opportunity to be involved with, so I'm going to use the next few minutes of my time to thank Tech Show. Not just for their sponsorship, not just for the room that we have, but ultimately for what Tech Show has done for me personally, and my guess is for many other people in this room. I was talking with Brett Burney a few moments ago. I know that he's in the exact same boat I have. Tech Show has changed my life. My first speaking engagement here at Tech Show, Dennis Kennedy, Reed Trouts once said, "Matt, we feel so guilty you always coming up and having to pay for everything. Why don't we see if we can at least get you a session or two to sit in so at least your hotel is covered?" 10 or 12 years ago, blogging. Rick Clow, Greg Siskind, maybe 8, 9 years ago, I sat in a session where they talked about blogging. Got a chance to meet several of my blogging idols. I would not be blogging but for that session at Tech Show. I didn't get it until that moment. LexThink, my company, and this isn't a pitch. This is something that is the most amazing thing for me that's come out of Tech Show. Dennis Kennedy and I, several years ago, were talking about all the cool conversations we had here with the people that we're sitting next to. And we wish we could have more of them. So we organized an event. We invited a couple of our friends, and everyone showed up. We had people asking for invitations that we never thought we'd have the guts to ask. And it has ultimately turned into a life-changing thing for me. Now, speaking of change, one of the things that we're all faced with here at Tech Show, and even in our law practices, our consulting careers, is that we are faced with this overwhelming pace of change. And we think about what's changed. It's easier for us here in this room to think it's a technology, right? It's a Tech Show. Technology's changing. But what I would submit to you is it's not about the technology at all. It's ultimately about the people. Now, technology plays a part. Technology has changed our clients and our customers in ways that we never found imaginable. Our clients expect more from us. Anyone remember a time where you literally had 3 or 4 days to respond to a letter? Anyone remember a time when your client could ask you a question and you had a chance to think about it for more than 30 minutes? Our clients today have far less attention to pay than they ever have before. Who in here in the last 30 seconds has actually interacted with the outside world in a mobile device? We constantly are faced with a changing client. While technology plays a part of it, ultimately so often we as lawyers look at technology in the wrong way. I think we need to look at our clients first. They receive more advice from strangers than they'll ever get from us as lawyers. Thanks to Google, they have already formed an opinion and they are hoping they'll know what you'll say. And God, if you confirm it, guess what? They don't think they need you anymore. They expect you to be able to know almost everything instantly. The same kind of access to information they have, they expect you as a lawyer to have a supercharged version of it that only spits out the good results. I want you to know that right now or at least 5 minutes from now. My daughter, who's 8, thinks that I ultimately have access to all the world's information at my fingertips, and she's probably right. The other thing about Grace in particular and our future clients, she may never actually take a piece of paper, put it in a manila folder, and ultimately stick it in a big metal filing cabinet. Think about that for a moment. We have a generation of future clients who don't or won't have lived the lives that we've lived. And so when you're thinking about technology, when you're ultimately thinking about what should I spend my money on, I'm going to challenge you and say, measure those technology decisions as your clients would. What's their return on your technology investment? When you're thinking about changing and trying new things in your practice, and all of us here, these are the room of innovators. These are the most creative lawyers I've ever met in my life. I've met here at Tech Show. And so experiment. You're going to hear some amazing things tonight, some great ideas from a handful of leading thinkers, and I don't use that term lightly here at Ignite Law. But as you're hearing new ideas, as you're thinking about the kinds of things that we ultimately as lawyers want to change and make our practices better, don't forget you're a lawyer first. We have duties and obligations, and it's too easy for us as lawyers to ultimately step back and say, this is cool, this is fun, whether it's social media, whether it's Facebook, whatever it is, we're lawyers, and I will challenge you to this one thing before I close. Clients, people, don't tell lawyer jokes because they think they're funny. They tell them because they think they're true. And so I would challenge all of you in this room to spend your careers proving them wrong.